Okay, our review today is for our lesson on solutions. The first thing I want you guys to remember is your TUV to help you differentiate between the different components in a solution, okay? So a solution contains a solute and a solvent, okay? And this is how you're going to remember this, or this is a good way to remember it. You can come up with your own if you like. We need to remember that the solute goes into the solvent. So for example, if I am making my Kool-Aid and I've got my water, that is the solvent. And then I put my spoonful of Kool-Aid into it, that is the solute. Okay, so the solvent is the thing that does the dissolving, and the solute is the thing that gets dissolved. Okay, so that's part of the requirement for your knowledge. You also need to understand the difference between concentration and dilution. Okay? And again, we just need to think of our Kool-Aid examples. I had 3 containers of Kool-Aid, if you remember. One of the containers of Kool-Aid had a high concentration. That was the really, really dark one that I added so much Kool-Aid to. It was really dark. And then there was one that was moderately dark. And then there was one that was very light. Okay? So the one that is the darkest, that is the most concentrated. So there is more solute in there per volume of solvent. Over here, this one is less concentrated. So this one is the least, this one is the next highest concentrated, this is the most concentrated. And what you need to know is that the more solute you add, the more concentrated the solution. Okay? So for this one over here, this one has very little solute, so it's not very concentrated. So as we go from this end to this end, the concentration decreases. And then as we go from this end to this end, the concentration increases. Okay? So what we can say is this solution is more dilute. And what you need to understand about dilute is that there is more solvent per gram of solute. Okay? The next thing that you need to understand is ways that we can improve solubility. And if you remember, solubility is the ability to make a solution, or the ability for something to dissolve. And what you need to understand about solubility is there are 3 ways to improve it. Okay? Or 3 factors that affect solubility. Okay? Yeah, you need to understand both ways of saying it. Okay? Now, you can improve solubility by stirring the solution. Okay? And don't forget, mixing, swirling, shaking, all of those things are all the same. They all mean the same thing. Mixing, shaking, swirling. Okay? That all relates to stirring. The second thing is when you change the size of the solute. And don't forget, when we had a chunky piece of Kool-Aid versus powdery Kool-Aid, the powdery one will dissolve easier. So if you decrease the size of the solute, it will dissolve better or have better solubility. And then the third thing is when we heat the solvent. If I had warm water, it would dissolve the solute much better than cold water. Okay, so those are the three things that you need to understand about how to improve solubility and the factors that affect solubility.